Hey guys, it's me, Mario again, and today we're going to continue Beast Quest Ferno, the Fire Dragon. Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. I am confident today that I'm going to read one chapter. I started the second book of the third series of Beast Quest yesterday, so yeah, I finished the first book on third series. Don't mind the talking and banging. If you can hear that, I'm sorry. Gathering Storm, Chapter 5. Tom woke nearly the next morning. Where was he? As he looked around at the big stone windows and the painting on the wall, he suddenly remembered. He was in the king's palace, in one of the royal guest rooms, one of the royal guest bedrooms. Excited, he jumped out of bed immediately. New clothes had been laid out on a wooden chest near the door. Tom slipped on the dark trousers. The dark trousers and woolen long-sleeved top. Woolen long-sleeve top. Over that, he wore a plain blue tunic. Tom smiled proudly as he looked at his reflection in the mirror. He looked ready for his adventure. Then he felt a moment of doubt. Can I really succeed where Eventia's bravest knights have failed? He wondered. Yes, you can, came a soft voice behind him. With a start, Tom looked to find Elderu on the door. At the door. Not on the door, at the door. He was holding a sword and a large wooden shield. You may think you are an unlikely hero, Elderu went on, but in strange times all things are possible. Tom nodded. I suppose they are. Elderu stepped into the room. Slowly, Tom kneeled on the coldest stone floor before him. He didn't know why, but it felt like the right thing to do. Elderu raised the sword into the air, and for a moment, Tom could swear that it glowed, lighting up the dust that danced through the air around him. Elderu and Tom gazed up at the sword. Then Elderu broke it down with that the tip of the sword rested gently on Tom's chest, next to his heart. May this boy have the strength of heart to save Eventia. The wizard's voice rang through the room. Tom bent his head. Then Elderu drew the sword away and gently pulled Tom to his feet. Smiling, 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 Eldorou held the hilt of the sword out to Tom. For you, he said simply. Tom took the sword. Fitted his grip perfectly. It fitted his grip perfectly, and felt far lighter than the poker he was used to. Perfect, he said. Now Eldorou passed him the polished, not solist, polished. Now Eldorou passed him the polished wooden shield. It was well crafted, but very plain. Tom remembered seeing knights cautionary riding through his village with their bright, colorful shields. He couldn't help feeling a twinge of disappointment. Appearances can be deceiving. No, appearances can be deceptive. Eldorou smiled, again reading Tom's thoughts. On your quest you will find allies in the strangest of places. In an unlikely of forms. But you have a wise head, Tom. True. Trust your instincts. Now I have other gifts for you. He took a parchment scroll from his pocket. It was just like the one Edward the Page had been holding the night before. As Eldorou unrolled it, Tom saw it was a map of Ventia. He stepped forward to get a better look in, and as he watched, the map came to life. Trees and hills and mountains rose up from the paper, standing as tall as Tom's thumb. Cautiously he reached out to touch one of the white mountains in the north. His finger came away glittering with frost. Tom looked up at Eldorou, startled. The wizard nodded at the map. Look closer, he commanded. Now Tom saw tiny twisting paths spring up like vines on the pale parchment. They slowly spread across the map towards the southwest, where a mountain stood dark and unwelcoming. I feel like I read this chapter before. Ferno's Mountain, guessed Tom. Yes. Eldorou held up the golden key Tom had been shown the night before. A loop of feather cord had been threaded through it. And Eldorou hung the key around Tom's neck like a medal. Like a medal. Only if you set Ferno free, we begin to put right Melville's evil. put right to Marvel's evil. You must unlock the enchanted collar that imprisoned him. I will do all I can, Tom promised. Now you must go, Eldor said, handing Tom the map. Your horse is waiting for you outside. Tom took his sword and shield and followed Eldor through the palace and out to the stable yard, where a groom stood with a jet black stallion. At the sight of Eldor, the horse whined in greeting. It tossed his head. It had a white mark in the shape of an arrowhead between its eyes, and the brown leather of its saddle gleamed brightly. The stallion's name is Storm, said Eldor. He's young and fast. Storm pulled away from the groom and trotted over to them. He pushed his nose against Tom's shoulder and gazed at him. Tom beamed. I think we'll get along well, Storm. I've no drink here, so. Eldor held the sword and shield as Tom scrambled up onto the horse's back, then handed them up to him. Yeah. Tom looked down at the wizard. What will happen to the village? To my village? And my uncle and aunt, they are relying on me to help. They're relying on me to help. A cart is on its way there with food and water, said Eldor. The driver will tell your uncle that you have been sent on a special errand for the king, and that you will return when you can. Tom patted Storm's neck. Thank you. Thank you, Eldor. Goodbye. Thank you, Eldor, and goodbye. Farewell, my young friend. All our hopes go with you. Tom nodded and kicked his heels against Storm's sides. Storm cantered away, out through the palace courtyard and into the hectic city streets, his hoof clattering on the cables as he swerved round carts and passerby. Tom saw the open city gates looming up ahead and felt his face flush with excitement. Soon he would be on his own. Faster, Storm, he urged. Storm galloped out through the gates, and as they burst into the grassy plains outside the city, Tom gave a wild whoop. This was it. This adventure had begun. 15 minutes. I wonder if I've already read this. Not sure, though. Not only was Storm the fastest horse Tom had ever ridden, but he also seemed to understand exactly what Tom wanted him to do. He slowed down at the slightest pull on the reins and sped up the second Tom touched his sides with his heels. By late afternoon, they had reached the southern edge of the grassy plains. A vast forest stretched out before them. Oh, excuse me. It looked dark and mysterious and rather forbidding. Forbidding. Forbidding? But the map showed that the quickest way to the Dragon's Mountain was to cut straight through the forest. Come on, Storm, Tom said, carefully guiding the stallion into the trees. I think it's this way. The trail twisted and turned as they headed deeper into the forest. The trees seemed to get thicker and press in closer, far above him. The sky was dull, and Tom felt a wave of panic as the gnarled trees and bushes seemed to be reaching out to grab him. Storm's ears flickered, as if he sensed Tom's concern. They carried on until they came to a small clearing, where the path seemed to end. Tom dismounted, pulling his sword from the sheath, whatever that word is. Sheath, whatever that word is. He started slashing at the dense undergrowth to clear a way forward. A rustling sound caught his ear. He stood still and listened. Who's there? Tom called. There was no answer. Pressing on, Tom chopped through a thick tangle of branches. Brambles? Yeah, brambles. His heart filled with dread. This place didn't feel right. And now he was sure that something awful was watching him. But taking hold of Storm's reins, he began pushing his way through the thicket. A set of gleaming yellow fangs snapped in his face. With a shout of alarm, Tom leaped back against Storm. A wolf. Tom, its gray fur was matted, and its amber eyes were wild and staring. Its huge paws were like clubs and ended in leather claws. Its teeth were bared in a vicious growl as it prepared to spring. And that was Aiden trying to bother me. Next up, we'll be reading chapter 6 of Ferno the Fire Dragon. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope that in the end there isn't a big interruption. Ugh. But I hope you heard the end of this. Okay. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!